I'm Alan Ball. I'm the executive producer and creator of True Blood, and I'm here with key members of the post-production staff. To my right is Scott Klein, colorist, Gary Calamar, music supervisor, Louise Ennis, editor, Bruce Dunn, producer, in charge of all things post-production, Nathan Barr, composer, John Massey, visual effects supervisor, John Benson, sound designer, and Greg Feinberg, my fellow executive producer and partner in crime. And we're here to talk about the importance post-production plays creating True Blood and making it True Blood, and how important it is for a show like True Blood, which is dependent on a lot of special effects and a lot of post-production.
All right, so we're good.
There's a new coven in town.
Oh no, witches.
Based out of a wicca shop not far from here.
I'll put Pam on it.
You will do it yourself. They're necromancers, Eric.
Each season we have a big component that we add that we're going to have to deal with exclusively in post, and this year it was the witch storyline. A ton of visual effects, obviously, with John, sound design, everything about the witch concept made it very challenging and hopefully very rewarding for the viewer too.
Save me. Use me. Avenge yourself.
One of the cool things tied to the witches is also all the possessions. Greg, can you tell us a little bit about all of the double exposure?
We were trying to figure out, well, what does a possession look like? Alan, you had the idea. You felt it should be pretty simple and should be like somebody going into someone's mouth. And then we were like, well, how are we going to do that? And David Klein went out and tested this. He had this a hand crank film camera, and that's really it builds in. You can go forwards and backwards and double expose, and so each of those effects that you see is basically practically shot on film, and then visual effects adds a little bit of like the final like whoosh into the mouth.
Thematically, Alan, you asked everybody from the get-go to put fire in Marnie's eyes, representing her Antonia burning at the stake.
Absolutely. I mean, and fire ended up becoming a motif because that was sort of the visual storytelling thing that we did to sort of convey the possession. So this woman who was burned alive, the reflection of those flames appeared in the body of the woman she was possessing 400 years later. And then fire, it just was it became a big element of season 4.
Fire and wind. But you get those two things. You get those two things together. I think it was Scott Winan in episode 2 who came up with the idea of having this wind help represent like the beginnings of the possession. It was just another element, again, in this room. And that was something that I think presented lots of fun for you.
We kind of played that with moving, windy, whispery things like they were, once she was in that mode, they were in the room moving around.
Animalix mors, flama vea vetus, interior facere homo celestis, animalix mors.
We're actually sitting right where the circle of fire and here in our moon goddess set.
Surprisingly, the place did not burn down. I don't know how that happened.
Was there actual fire on set?
That was actually a highlight for me because we shot that with no fire whatsoever. And then when you look at it, what John was able to do with his visual effects was pretty amazing.
We always like to use real practical elements. That's something that we always try and just strive for because nothing looks more real than real fire.
Yeah.
And it's just shooting that fire and getting that into, I think we gave editorial, the fire elements here, mix it in, play it in, and I know in episode 12, that's what we did for the pyre. It's the same thing as when you have actors on a burning pyre, it's like, well, what, you can't obviously have them there. So, doing the fire as a separate piece and then throwing it in later really works out. And, it's real fire, so you can't really tell.
Was there any real fire when Antonia burned? Or was that all?
There was. When Antonia burned, there was, but again, it was not when she was there, so it was a composite of her on the pyre and then fire elements. But when the vampires caught fire, they actually were stunt people who caught fire.
Yes.
That was we actually burned a couple of stunt people.
Yeah. Yeah.